I'm trying to equip and help 20-something Christian men navigate through their 20s. If I can shave 5 years off of 1,000 people's lives, I'm going to be extremely happy. And I mean 5 years off of their whole life. Like, make it so that they can accelerate. Because maturity goes like this. And if I can shove the timeline farther in so that you wind up becoming more mature faster and you're better equipped to live that life that is your ideal version of you, then I will be the happiest person in the world. So right now we're going to be talking about rhythm. When I talked with Toby last time, we talked about clarity, getting clarity and what goes into all of that. And he made a comment that before clarity, you have to have vision. And so we settled on vision for a little bit. Now, what I want to bring to your attention is that with respect to rhythm, rhythm is the thing that supports the clarity. So you've got your vision, then you've got clarity of your vision of what you want as an outcome. And your rhythm is when you take and you start to develop the habits and events and activities and that sort of stuff, and the tempo that you start dropping them into your life, and you start really designing your life. That's what a lot of this is about. People have been designing their lives for millennia. And so we're going to go over some of the stuff that Marty had to say, and I'm going to kind of reflect and respond to some of this stuff. So Marty takes care of his parents, him and his sister do. Marty lives on a farm, and he's the CEO at a gymnastics club. This requires him to have a schedule that's a little bit different from mine. I'm running a screen printing shop. I'm working on this podcast and coaching people, right? So my cadence is going to be very, very different. I don't have anybody that is going to yank me out of my office and or make me come running. There's none of that in my life. So with that said, Marty needs to be flexible so that he can, at the drop of a hat, go running to whatever he needs to do. He requires a more open schedule. He's also a different person than me and prioritizes peace much more than I do. He's built his life to wrap around his requirements and his wants. I've built my life around my requirements and wants, which, by the way, also includes the people that I bring into my life, into my circle. If they are in conflict with the things that I want to do and the life that I want to live, they don't stay in my life very long. One of the things that he said that I couldn't personally relate to all of that much was he has his dogs as a little bit of a trigger for him. So his dogs need to be taken out. He needs to get the llamas out of the pen. He needs to do all of these things first thing. And you can bet that if he doesn't get to it, they come to him and they cause him trouble. So if there are these things in your life that are things that happen to you, you can build on those as things that, okay, I need to take the dogs out. If I don't take the dogs out, bad things happen. So I need to go get my coffee. I need to go get my book. I need to go do whatever it is that you need to do. And you touch them to that that event. The dogs need to go out. The llamas need to go out. With respect to your age, one of the things that I said that I still super fully believe in is think about the end. When I think I was turning 50, I got to thinking, man, what would happen if I picked how old I was going to be when I died? And I thought out 36 years, and I started backing it up. I said, well, how do I want to be in my 70s? And my biggest thought was my health, because I wasn't on track to be super healthy. And then my 60s and my 50s, and I started thinking about people that were on the same path as me. Do I really want to be on that path? And I started thinking about the people that were on, that had been on the same path that I was on, that had changed course. So I started looking at people that that were fat, that were out of shape? What were they? What did they do? And some of it's obvious. Eat better. Don't have the 9 o'clock nachos, and go out and just walk. That was one of the more surprising things to me, was just adding walking into your day will burn a lot of calories and contribute to your mental health. Both of those things were super surprising to me. But if you will take your health seriously, and then you have something much more to look forward to. Don't assume that you're going to die early. Assume that you're going to make it all the way to the end, and start planning for that. Think about that every single day, and it will change the way that you live. With respect to this, the sooner you can start structuring your life and planning out how you're going to live, the better. It's the example that I use is, if you took just the letter T and the letter L and swapped them on my keyboard, so that every time I tap the T, an L would come out, and every time I tap the L, a T would come out, my typing would be very, very frustrating, because I've been typing since I was about 12 years old. That said, the sooner, if I was 12 years old and I started out with the keyboard in that newer configuration, I wouldn't have any issue. It would just be, that's the way it is. The sooner that you can get it so that you've locked in place those good new habits. I go for a 15-minute walk, a 30-minute walk every morning. I listen to an audiobook while I'm doing my walk. I sit down and I read for 30 minutes, whatever it is that you can pipe into your life as a structure. I please do that for future you. Future you is going to thank you. Okay, when you're down doing your crunches and you're doing your push-ups, imagine 30-year-old you and 40-year-old you and 50-year-old you sitting on the couch thanking you for doing those push-ups and doing those crunches. Marty said something that I was so blown away by. He said to find yourself a sage. What I want you doing is keeping your eyes open for somebody that is 20 years ahead of you, 30 years ahead of you, that is living the kind of life that you want to live, that's doing something different than what you're on course to do, that's the successful version of you that you just don't understand. And I want you to approach them and say, hey, I'm in my 20s. I'm trying to get this all figured out. I wasn't raised for the life that I want to live. Would I be able to meet with you at some point and get some pointers? Say it just like that, okay? Stay away from terms like pick your brain. Nobody wants their brain picked. And if you just show up and you're humble like that, back that up. I said it perfectly. If you will just approach them with the idea that you're looking to get some pointers, and that's it, they will. A lot of entrepreneurs, they get tired of people wanting to borrow money from them, but they never get tired of people that want to improve their lives, because if you do that and say that, you're going to be a rare person. You're going to be one of those people that they're looking for, okay? Don't be shy about this. When they see you, they will see a version of themselves in you, and they won't be able to turn you down. They may turn you down, but I swear to you, if they turn you down, that's good. That isn't the one that you want. You want the one that delights and enjoys the idea of helping somebody out. And whatever you do, don't use the term paying it back, because that sort of implies that they took something. They're not paying it back. They're paying it forward. They are trying to help out people that they owe nothing to, okay? They owe you nothing. Remember that. If you live a life of service, you don't owe somebody anything, okay? So with that, keep your eyes open. Find somebody. It may be a lifetime thing. It may turn out to be just something that is a couple of weeks, but keep your eyes open. Look and try to develop that relationship with a sage, because a lot of the most successful people that you'll ever run into, they picked up information from people around them, and they had somebody that mentored them. Okay, so with that, one of the things with respect, I think that my morning routine is pretty darn solid. I don't even look at my email until somewhere usually at least 7 o'clock. I've been up 2 hours at least. Unless something catches my attention and I discover that something's on fire, then I'll stop. But there's only certain channels that comes in. There is a saying that I really love, that the day that you realize that nobody is coming for you is the day that you become a man. And there's a day when you realize that mommy's not coming to go wake you up and to jostle you and say, hey, little Johnny, time to get up. Time to get up. You need to go to school. That's just not happening anymore. And the day that you realize that you're on your own to figure this stuff out, that's the day that you become an adult. And embrace that. I loved it when Marty and I started talking about the cumulative effects of good and bad habits. You can wind up with better health or worse health. You can wind up gaining wealth, or you can wind up getting poor. And again, live with the idea that you're going to get old and die of old age. You're not going to die young. Get that through your head. If you can't find a mentor, okay, one of the things that I would suggest that you do is get into the habit of watching documentaries on really successful people. You will find that winning in life leaves clues, and you'll find that even documentaries of people that did cool stuff 150 years ago, you're going to discover that they had some really great ideas on how to handle money, how to handle people, and how to sell stuff and produce stuff. You're going to find that there's a lot of wisdom in the lives, and you're going to see yourself in their stories. The only thing that I would caution you on this one here is it's easy to wind up watching documentaries that have nothing to do with anything. So if you watch a documentary on the B-2 stealth bomber, okay, yeah, it's a documentary, but it really doesn't have a whole lot of application unless they're talking about the development of it and you want to become an engineer or something like that. Or they're talking about the team and you want to lead a team. But that's a really small part of it. Whatever field you're looking to get into, that's what I would suggest that you look for documentaries on. Otherwise, you could actually be just looking at entertainment, thinking that you're developing. With respect to your life, you're going to wind up finding that it's in a bunch of seasons, and that you wind up having a season like Marty and I were talking about the season of being a parent. It starts and it feels weird as could be. And then it ends one day and it's unexpected, and you can do everything that you thought to do to prepare and emotionally brace yourself. I was prepared for her to get married and move out for years. When she even tried to punk me at her wedding and try to provoke me to tears, but it didn't work because I was already ready. Like, I was ready. The one thing that really shocked me, though, this is like, no matter how much you prepare for these things, you're going to be blindsided. When she got married and she moved out, the one thing, for whatever reason, I wasn't prepared for was her cat going with her. And all of a sudden, I didn't have this cat to play with. And I remember just being like, that was the void. And she can watch this and relate to it, and she will know exactly what I mean. But my point is that there's seasons in your life where you're going to be learning how to be married. You're going to be learning how to balance being married, working, being ambitious, being a father. How much time do you spend at church? Like, what do you make obligations to? And those things that you're making obligations to in your 20s, some of them you may not be making in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s. Your life is going to change, and you're going to wind up with these new rhythms, and they're not going to fit neatly into my 20s and my 30s and my 40s. When you hear people like me talk about that sort of thing, my 20s, 30s, and 40s, okay, that could be stopping at the age of 28 and starting, and from 28 to 34, I had this season in my life, and from 34 to 41. So don't get it too siloed that it's going to be a specific start and stop that's predictable. I was also thinking about, the benefits of things that, like the Lord's Prayer. The Lord said that when you pray like this. And he gave us kind of a formula. And I think that it is those handful of things that maintain us, and that's kind of what that was here's a way to maintain your life. Here's a way to live, to position yourself so that you wind up having a really great connection with God and you live a really maximized life. Marty and I also talked about a deviation from a strict schedule. I think that I was actually just listening to a video before I started shooting this, and they were talking about taking about 10% of your time in this industry, taking about 10% of your time to experiment, and whether that thing comes out good or whether it sucks or however it is, there's no penalty if it goes wrong, and if something goes right, that's cool. And what I want to say is, having that part of your life that is completely experimental, where you go, man, I wonder if I would like to learn how to throw pots and clay. Man, I wonder if I would like to learn how to shoot video. I wonder, and having a part of your time budgeted for experimenting and doing things that are unexpected, rather than having a regimented, heavily regimented life. Because the thing is that the more you get regimented, the more that you stop paying attention to new opportunities. But if you can figure out a percentage of your time that is spent in a certain way, you will be open for those new opportunities. And so, I do believe that novelty makes it so that your life never really slips away. When I was about 32, 33, something like that, I wound up, I was driving a garbage truck, and I had one of the best routes in the system. I just kind of dumbed into it, and I remember one week where I was out at a certain location picking up a can. I can still remember where I was. And I remember realizing that somehow, some way, I lost a whole week because my life was so regimented. It started to blur. And it felt like my life had shifted from one gear to another one. It just slipped in, and my life started to blur, and it really freaked me out, and I didn't like it. So I actually took a job where I became a relief driver, and I was doing something new every single day, and that slowed life right back down. You can see this if you've ever taken on a brand new job. It's so new, everything's so different, that an 8-hour day seems to take 16 hours, and it's cool as could be. But after you've been doing it for a while, an 8-hour day can go by very, very quickly. So this is why I say embrace some novelty in your life, budget it in. Don't live people that are, what do they call them, a debutante? Somebody that's not really good at any particular thing at all. Those guys rarely do anything big in their life. They never attain anything of really lasting impact. The older you get, the more your instincts are going to be refined. All you really have are your instincts. And so I strongly suggest that you journal and reflect. That will help you refine your instincts. And And as you get to journaling and thinking and reflecting back on your life, you'll wind up seeing more things while you're experiencing them than in the rearview mirror. Okay, and if you want a really great daily journal, a day planner, it's a daily journal. Go to my website. I'll leave a link down below in the description. It's a free morning routine, and there's 10 questions in the morning. You flip it over, and there are 8 questions for the evening, along with space to just kind of write some journaled thoughts. I love it. I've been using it for years and years, and it's made a tremendous difference in helping me to sharpen my thoughts. And when you have sharper thoughts, you're able to recognize your life a whole lot better. Okay, let's see. I love, he said, take an inventory of your strengths and deficits, leverage your strengths, and then I really think that one of the things that that we learn wrong in school is to focus on our weaknesses. I think that one of the things that we should be doing is looking around for people that can do the things that we suck at. The woman that works for me, she made a comment because she's extremely organized. And one of the things that that I love about her is that she's anxious around things that are disorganized. Now, her anxiety gives me a lot of peace. I know that nothing's going to get too far out of hand. She's going to make a lot of noise the more that things get disorganized, because it really stresses her out, while I feel absolutely nothing. And so the two of us pull in opposite directions, but we really respect each other, and we try to accommodate each other to a degree. And so my point is that do an inventory and, be honest with yourself. Can you actually see yourself overcoming that thing? Or should you find somebody that you can team up with and develop that and go that way? Okay. Let's see. You're only going to be able to do so many things in your life. One of the things that may surprise you, it surprised me, was that that when people retire, one of the things that they're most surprised about is that they don't get to do it all. They still have only added 8 or 9 hours to their day, and that just isn't enough for them to learn how to do all of these 80 different hobbies. Even then, with that free time, they have to pick and choose what they can be good at. And so I think that I guarantee you that you're going to be much better off if you figure out the things that you want to do and make those a priority. And I would also say, treat your life with seasonality. One of the things that I had a discussion with a guy a few years ago, and we were talking about hobbies and that sort of stuff. And he was wild about his hobbies. He was curious about computer coding, so he just took a course. He was curious about pottery, so he went and signed up for a class. And some of these he did for like 3 months. It wasn't a career. It wasn't like he was trying to change his life. He was just curious, and so he went and chased that thing for a while. And after we got to talking, because there were a couple things that he was kind of frustrated with, and I said, man, you know what? I think that you're about 90% of the way there. I said, why don't you just say, hey, you know what? Just schedule out your year. Just say, hey, you know what? These 90 days I'm going to spend doing this. These 90 days I'm going to spend doing that. These 90 days I'm going to be over here. And the thing is that when an opportunity comes up and you want to go chase that thing down and you want to go experience that little bit of novelty, you look at it and you go, wait a second. And you look at your schedule and you go, hey, you know what? I actually like this better than what I had on the schedule. So just swap it out. But just go in eyes wide open that you've got limited money, time, and that this will scratch that itch. This is part of what makes us feel alive, is that novelty. You need that in your life. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up now. Toby and I are going to get together here in the next day or two and talk about rhythm and developing that in your life. And that's always going to be fun. And if you got any comments, leave them below. If you feel that there's rhythms and stuff that maybe we didn't even touch on, go ahead and leave that sort of comment down below that you would like to hear some kind of feedback on. And maybe we'll make a video about it in the future. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.